Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop with a fishing report for you for the 11th of October 2018. So we'll just jump right in with the Rogue. This is our favorite time of year. We've said a hearty goodbye to summer, and we've really had a nice seasonal change here. The smoke is pretty much gone. I think there's still some fires maybe smoldering, but we haven't seen a puff, a whiff of smoke in the last week or so, and it's just been fantastic. Just wonderful. So nice, clear skies, clear nights, cold nights, but it's been very, very beautiful up here. Leaves are all changing color. Really an exceptional time of year. We look forward to it all year. We love it. It's here. We're outside. We're fishing. We're checking it out. So let's talk about the Rogue River, a place that we really like to spend most of our time right now. The fishing has turned on in a pretty significant way in the last week and a half, where we've seen pretty good numbers of fish come in. That's coincided with a couple of rain events that we had that weren't huge, but enough to get things moving. And that is pretty much over now, and we're back into like a high pressure type setup, which we'll get a few times in October. But we have kind of a high pressure moving into like about a week or so here of high pressure warm temps, but still really cool nights and low flows. So we have about 830 CFS coming out of the dam. That's about 1,100 at Dodge. And that's going to be, 11 to 1,300 down through the whole kind of upper stretch of the river. So that translates to low water. This water is coming right out of the bottom of the dam. It's cold water. So it's kind of an interesting mix of tactics right now. Once again, if you're nymph fishing, you're really going to do well in these types of conditions. Fish all sit down in these pockets. They can't use a lot of the river that they want to, so they get kind of pushed into certain areas, and they can really hang in these bedrock slots and bedrock shelves, and you can do quite well for the nymphing. Swinging flies, you got to really kind of adjust your tactics a bit. I think they will hang out in some of those tanks a little bit more, like I was just saying, kind of pushed into them. So even though we're having warm temps in the day, fishing a sink tip, getting the fly down in front of them, looking to fish more in the earlier part of the day, the later part of the day, I think is a good tactic for this time of year for steelhead. Those are kind of the approaches that we would take. We're still summer, we still have warm temps. We have, some rivers are still a little bit on the warm side, but because the water comes out of the dam, the uniqueness of the Rogue is that you've got these cooler water temps. So you want to kind of mix your tactics up like that. Using a little bit bigger fly is not a bad idea this time of year if you're swinging flies. That can be a good idea as well. So that's what we're kind of doing. We've got salmon out there spawning pretty aggressively now, so watch out for the reds, watch your anchors, watch your walking. Got to be careful be aware of where those spawning salmon are, those nice, clear gravelly areas. That's what you're looking for to avoid those. Those are the next generation of fish there. So we'll be looking for rain. We'll be looking for rain to kind of mix things up a little bit for the Rogue. But right now it's game on in the upper river all the way down through really the entire river. Is almost anywhere you could go and fish right now. And it'd probably be a pretty good bet and have a very good chance of finding a fish. Holy water trout section is really in keeping with what we just talked about the main Rogue. Be a very good time to fish. Again, really low flows, so you can really access that river just about anywhere, or that section of river. If we get some overcast, it'd be a very good time to look for dries. I know Marcus was up there last week and had good luck on dries on an overcast day. Had some good blue wing olive fishing, which is awesome. It's on the early end for that type of fishing, but we'll take it. So if you do have an overcast day, a little bit warmer day, expect to see some dries come off there. Otherwise, it's going to be mostly a nymphing and streamer show up there. And we really love to fish our little trout spays up there. We really love to fish single-handed fishing streamers up there. Little single-hand Skagit setups are a lot of fun for that. And the fish can be really on the bite this time of year. So, so that would be a very good bet. The little holy water trout section on the upper river up there would be a very good bet for fishing right now. We're getting some really good feedback from the Klamath, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Still a little bit early. We've got salmon. Up around I-5, you know, that are kind of up in that stretch. I'd say they've been up there for about a week, week and a half. And the steelhead, you know, are kind of right behind them, but we still think of this time of year as a little bit early for really looking for steelhead on the upper Klamath. Now that said, going down the highway, down into the canyon a little bit further, I think you have better and better chance of finding fish. If it were me, I'd probably be going down as far as the Happy Camp area right now. I've had mixed fishing down there at this time of year in the past few years, but it does sound like people are finding decent numbers of fish kind of all throughout the lower river. We've had good feedback on the Klamath fishing, which we weren't really expecting, which is interesting, but it sounds like the fishing has been quite good on the lower Klamath and middle Klamath. So I think that is a very good stretch of river to be looking at. I'm not exactly sure how far down or how far up you could find fish right now. I guess you just kind of got to explore your way up. Until, you know, it just feels like there's nothing around there. But I'd give it another 2 weeks, about the end of the month, when we really feel like we're seeing fish around I-5, where we like to fish quite a bit. Or it's easy for us to get there anyway. Otherwise, we're going further down the canyon if we have the time. But we'll keep you updated on that. Right now, plenty of salmon around there, and we will have steelhead in there with them shortly. Out to the east, the Klamath Basin is a little bit off our radar now as we're really focused on this, but I know that those are really good fisheries this time of year. I think the Williamson has continued to be very good fishing. Definitely see the fish getting a little bit darker, but I think there's good numbers of fish. They really start to spread out, you know, up into, you know, up above the Chiloquin section. They can get, you know, pretty spread out in there this time of year. They're kind of triggered by the cooler weather to, you know, to really get onto their spawning cycle. So they're moving up in that river. And I know Paul has had decent fishing. He's spending a lot of time out there now. It'd be a little hard to find a guide out there now, I think, as we're kind of getting closer to the end of the season. But if you do fish out there, if you fish, you know, if you have a boat and you're fishing or a raft or something, I think that area would be very good. The Wood River would be an interesting one to try as well. It's definitely difficult for access, but if you have a craft or something, or you know your spots, it would be a good place to look right now, fishing streamers and possibly some dry fly fishing in there as well. October in Northern California can offer some great fishing as well. You know, really low flows, you know, the upper Sacramento, the McCloud River. We do see the October caddis come out, you know, kind of sporadically. I think a little bit more the McCloud, you can have more chance of fish looking up for that fly in October, fishing dries down there, than you will on the upper Sacramento. It can be more sporadic. I think of the upper Sacramento a little bit more later with October caddis. If you're fishing dries, but fishing a dry and dropper, if you're fishing in that upper section around Cantera Loop up there, that could be very good fishing. But October can be interesting on the upper Sacramento, probably a little bit more consistent on the McCloud, but a very good time to be down there. You know, I think it's going to have picked up a bit from the midsummer real warm temps. I think it's going to have picked up a bit from there, and then just further on around the Horn there with all those great rivers. You know, this time of year is really a good time to get out. A lot of those rivers close November 15th, so you know, getting some of that fishing in. Hat Creek, Pitt River stays open all year actually, as does the upper Sac, but a lot of those other rivers, it's a very good time to be fishing down there now to close your salmon. It's really hard to pick where to fish right now, right? I mean, everything starts to happen, and a lot of those things that we look at a little closer fall off our radar a bit when we have the steelhead fishing that we do in our backyard. So that's really where we're focused now. So there's a brief update for you of what we're seeing here. A lot of people fishing, a lot of people out there. So get out there, enjoy yourself. It's a great time to be outside, just beautiful weather. Let's all keep in mind the rain, and hopefully we'll see some here pretty soon. But if we can update anything for you, a more detailed report or anything, please give us a call here at the shop and we'll be happy to help you. Appreciate you watching. Thank you.